Hello and welcome back, everyone, to the book summary series. Today's book is another fictional book and one of my personal favorites, fiction writer. However, once you read his book, you realize it's not that much fiction and so much more inspired by reality. Today's book is When the Mountains Echoed, written by Khalid Hosseini. And before I tell you about the story and the possible takeaways from a fiction book like that, I want to tell you something a little bit about this author's writing style. He makes you experience every emotion in so much detail that you feel so connected to all his characters and the way the story is moving. He can be called one of the authors whose writing style and language is lyrical in nature, and he actually transports you from one place to another. His description is so beautiful that you actually land up in the areas of Afghanistan where most of his books are actually based. So now let's come on to the summary of this book. In this book, he tells the story of a family and the interconnected lives across generations and continents of those characters. So, story begins in the small village in Afghanistan and somewhere in the 1950s, where a father is actually faced with the decision of selling his daughter to a wealthy couple in Kabul in order to provide for the rest of his family. Now, when I'm telling you this in one sentence, it seems so gory, disgusting, and everything negative that you can imagine will come to your mind. But let me tell you, that's the beauty of this author when he starts telling the story, and it's beginning on such a note. Even then, the way he's telling the story, you actually feel yourself to be in the position of their father rather than having this feeling of disappointment or disgust. That's the power of his storytelling. So basically, this decision sets off a chain of events that impacts the lives of a lot of people over a course of lot of years, probably decades, if we see the timeline. So the book explores themes like family, sacrifice, love, loss, all with this power of storytelling. And you will relate it a lot because Afghanistan setting is very close to the Indian is part of actually the Indian subcontinent. And so there'll be times in the book where you'll realize, oh, this happens in India too, and it makes you feel closer to the author, to the story. You feel more connected. So the narrative style of his book is so unique, and each chapter focuses on a very different character and their perspective. So it's like how patchwork sheets are made. He explains the beauty of one patch, and there's another patch, and then he tailors them so beautifully together in the background, all in the background of the setting of Afghanistan and the disruption and conflict that was going in Afghanistan. So more than the story, you will also get a perspective on the lives of people who live in a war zone for years and years together, and how from physically impacting them to emotionally being a part of their lives, it comes and goes and comes and goes in different phases. So I can say that this book is very poignant, and it gives human experience in all its beauty and complexity nonetheless. And it's actually a testament to the resilience of a human spirit in the face of adversity like war and conflict. So that's why I said it's not more so fiction as much it's inspired from his own or his people he knows their reality. You actually feel that you are in Afghanistan during the war conflict days. But now, what can I possibly give you as takeaways from this fictional book apart from the fact that it's a very heart touching story? Well, there are still a few takeaways that you can talk about, and even though it's a fiction book. One, the power of family and love. He has portrayed so beautifully the deep love and bond between family members and the sacrifices they are actually willing to make for one another. It also shows us how love can actually transcend distance, time, and generations. The other is the impact of war and displacement. Like I said, it's kind of inspired from real life events. The book actually illustrates how devastating the effects of war can be on people's lives, families, communities in general, and importance of empathy and understanding towards those who have experienced trauma and loss. For instance, somebody who's going PTSD and they don't even know that they are going through PTSD because they were present in a particular country or area during the time of conflict. Then the role of storytelling in our lives as professionals, we always keep talking about knowing our own story, the story we tell us and the story we tell all the other people. So it's very important to understand this art, learn this art, perfect this art, whatever you want to call it. And this novel is a very good example of telling you the importance of storytelling to connect people, to preserve memories and making sense of the world around you, even though it's a world that's shattered with conflict. So it is important how stories can actually bring people together. Stories can heal wounds and actually offer hope. And um something that's common to most fiction and non-fiction books is the complexity of human relationships. So this book talks about a lot of complex relations, how can they can be beautiful as well as challenging at the same time. It also shows how people's actions sometimes have unintended consequences, and what takes over or repairs those relations in future is the forgiveness and empathy that one can have. And lastly, one important takeaway could be embracing change. So, the fact that change is inevitable and you need to adapt to your newer circumstances, which may be small in nature or which can be as big as living in a post war world. It shows how holding on to your past can be so detrimental to your growth, to your personal personality itself, and how if you let go and you embrace the change, you move towards growth and new possibilities. So much from a fictional book. And that's all from my side from today. Until next time, thank you for supporting. Goodbye. Good day. Take care.